Okay, so we are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the DSC Oriental Institute YouTube channel. And this is our new to programming track session 3, and this is the third lecture on Android Study Jams conducted by Rishu Kumar. My name is Bhupinder Singh, and alongside me is Rishu Kumar, the Android lead of DSC OIST. And today we will be going on with a third lecture of Android Study Jams. In the first two lectures, we have gone over the basics of Kotlin and created a cool project of Dice Roller. And in this lecture, we are going to create two more projects, which will be advanced use, which will we will be using advanced concepts of Kotlin in it. And if you are familiar with Kotlin and already know the basics, or you have already attended our last two lectures, then you are good to go for this lecture. But if you are new to Kotlin and not have enough knowledge or not haven't created any project yet, so I recommend you watch the first two lectures, which are already uploaded on our YouTube channel, and then you can watch this one when it will be saved after this live. So welcome everybody again, and over to Rishu Kumar.
Okay, so let's wait for a few more seconds so that more people can join. Okay, so let's start our session and let's figure out that what we have done in session 2. So in session 2, we have covered some of the basics of Kotlin programming language. We have seen how we can write functions that has a return value. Then we have seen that how we can use arguments as well as parameters, and how we can create class as well as how we can instantiate a class. Also, we have seen how we can add a layout in Android Studio. And at last, in that session, we have built a dice roller app. So this is a little bit quick overview about what we have done in session 2. Let's see what we are going to do in session 3. So what is today agenda? So today agenda will be we are going to create two different apps. The first app is the tip calculator app, and the second app is the affirmation app. So these apps are from the unit 2 of the new to programming track. If you do not know, that is in the Android Studio, Android Study Jam. And we're also going to learn about how to use inheritance in Kotlin, what are lists as well as what are the iterables. So how to use while loop as well as for loop in Kotlin. Then after, we are going to use XML for our layouts. And at last, we will see how we can use a recycler view for the scrollable list. So let's start and let's see how we can do code labs in Android Study Jam. So this is the link of starting Android Study Jam. I have talked about this more than 10 times. So this is the link, and the link is g.co/Android Study Jam, and you can use this link to navigate to the Android Study Jam main page, or the home page, you can say. So this is the page that I am talking about, and the link is here. So you have to start new to programming track as well as prior programming experience track, and we are going with the new to programming track. And today we are going to talk about the unit 2, and we are going to talk about what is taught in the unit 2 of this code lab. So let's see, and let's start. So we are going to use we are going to talk about these two code labs. So at first, I am going to talk about Kotlin classes as well as inheritance, how to use Kotlin classes and inheritance. So let's head back to the Kotlin playground, and the Kotlin playground link is this, that is developers.android.com/training/Kotlin playground. So this is the mm, default code. Let me deliver this print function or print a statement. Then let's start. So to create an we will first create an abstract class. So abstract class can be created by using abstract keyword. So what is this abstract class? Abstract class are generally used to add inheritance in our code. So we can say um, abstract class animal. So we have created an abstract class called animal, and one thing to point out that abstract class cannot be instantiated. It's just like a super class, and it has all the properties as well as methods that can be used by the subclass, we can say, or we can say that the children class. So let's create a class called animal, and let's have a property of that animal. So let's say all animals have legs, so we can say abstract val number of legs, and it is of type int. Okay, first try to instantiate this animal class. So we can say val, but let's assign it to animals. Okay, now I have created an object instance of this animal class. We cannot do this, so let's first run this, as we got the error, and the error says that cannot create an instance of abstract class. So abstract class cannot be instantiated, as I've told you earlier. So that's why this gives us error. So what is the use of this abstract class? So let's say um, let's create another function in this abstract class, that is function. And I have told you that how we can create functions. So we can create function by using fun keyword, and let's say the function that we are going to create is eat, and we simply print something like let's say eating. Okay, so I have created two things. That is, first one is the property of this animal class, and the second one is the method of this animal class. Let's add another class. Let's say we are going to create a dog class, and now this dog class will inherit from the animal class. To add the inheritance, we have to use this colon syntax. So we can say colon animals. Okay, so what this mean? This colon syntax means that we are going to add inheritance, and shows that this dog is inheriting from this animal class. So now this dog is a subclass, and this animal is a superclass. Now this colon syntax, this colon means extends. In other programming language, we use generally extends keyword, but in Kotlin there is no extends keyword, so we are going to use this colon syntax. Okay. Now we can override the properties of a abstract class. So how can we do that? We can say override and val number of legs, and let assign it to, let's say, 4. Okay, so I have created a property of this animal, that is a dog class, and I have assigned the number of legs to be 4. And let's now create an instance of this dog class. So we can say val and dog is equal to dog, and we can say um, dog dot number of legs, and we can print this. If we print this, we can see we got 4 on the console, and this is because we have overwritten the number of legs property of this abstract class. For now, let's see how we can use this eat function. So we do not have to, as you can see, we have created the eat function in this abstract class. And let's say if we want to use this eat function in the animal class, we do not have to create it manually. We can simply use it. So we can say dog dot eat. And if we do that, you can see we got eating on the console. So this eating comes from this function that is defined in the abstract class. So let's create another class. Let's say we want to create a class that call cat, and let's say it extends from animal. Now we can also override the number of legs property. So we can say override val number of legs. Let's assign it to 4. And now it should we can also create its own property. So cat has its own property. So we can also create that. We can also create its own function. So we can say, let's say a cat has a function that is sound, and let's say it is, we can say it's simply meow. So this cat can have their own function. So what I am trying to say that we can override the properties of an abstract class. We can also use the methods as well as properties of abstract class. Although we can also create properties as well as methods in child class also. So I have created a sound function in this cat class. Let's create an instance of this cat. So we can say val cat is equal to cat, and let's first print the number of legs property. So let's say cat dot number of legs. And if you do that, we get again 4 on the console, and this 4 is because of this cat number of legs. Now we can also say that cat dot sound. Now this sound method is only available in this cat class, and the sound is not available in this dog class. We can also create different properties as well as methods in different class as well. So this is the use of inheritance. We can create something in the abstract class, and the properties as well as methods that is available in this class can be used by all the children classes, and it's basically reduce the code in our file. Also it basically increase the readability in our code. So this is all about inheritance as well as how we can inherit a class. We have to use this colon syntax. So if you want to learn more about inheritance as well as how to create classes and all that, you can do must check out the Kotlin documentation. They have written all the possibilities that can available in Kotlin. So I recommend you to check that. So this is it about inheritance. Let's learn more about how we can create iterables as well as a list in Kotlin. So let's first write the main function. Okay. Now in Kotlin we have two different types of list. So we have a list that is only a read-only list that cannot be mutated, and we have a mutable list also. So let's first create a read-only list. So okay. So we can say val numbers is equal to list of and numbers. Okay, so this numbers is a list of numbers. And what is list? List is just a data type in Kotlin or any other programming languages, and it generally include more than one value. So let's say we have a variable and we can only store a single value in that variable, but list is just like a collection. We can store similar values with similar properties and functions in a list that is a collection, and we can assign it to a variable, something like this. So list of is a function that is available in Kotlin, and it is basically used to create a list, and it will create the read-only list. So let's say I want to print this numbers list. So we can say print ln numbers, and let's play this file. As you can see, we got the list of numbers, and let's say I want to add a new number to this list. So numbers dot add. And add is a function that is available in Kotlin to add a single value to the list. So let's say we want to add 7 to the list, but this is a read-only list. So if we do that, we got errors. As you can see, we got errors. Unsolved reference add. So there is no method available in the add is not available for the read-only list. So how we can add elements to the list? For this, we have to create a mutable list. So let's create a mutable list. Okay. So val, let's say we want to create a list of names. So we can say names is equal to, we can call mutable list of. Now I have to pass the values. So I want to create the list of name. Let's say I want to create Rishu. Rishi, Satyam, Yogi. Okay. So these are the four list of names, and we can also print this. So we can say print. As you can see, we got the list of names. Now, the magic of mutable list is that we can also add elements to this list. So we can say, let's say names dot add, and we want to add a value. Let's say I want to add Vinay to it. And if we print our name here again, as you can see, this is my old list and this is my updated list. So we can mutate our list, and we can create a mutable list by calling mutable list of function, and it is also available in Kotlin. Now let's say we want to grab the elements in the list. So how we can do that? So generally the index start from the in the list start from zero in almost every programming language. So the issue it as position zero, the issue is at position one, and so on. So let me grab the element at position zero. So we can say println names, and we have to use the names, that is the name of the list, and then uh, use the square braces, and then you have to pass the index that you want to grab. So let's say I want to grab the first element. I will pass 0 here, and if we run our file, we got tissue printer on the console. Okay, so let's say there's another method of that. We can also call names dot first, and it will basically give you the first element in the list. In similar manner, we can also call name dot last, and it will give you the last element in the list. Okay, so this is cool. Now let's say the user do not know about the index, and they add index that is not in the scope of this list. So let's say they added 100 there. 100 index is not present here. So if we run our file, it says index out of bound exception. So what this means? This means that this index do not have we do not have that index in our list. So basically, it throws errors on us. Okay, so there are different methods as well as different things that is available in list. You can do that. We will learn how we can iterate through the list. So to check the different methods that is available in list, we can simply search on internet, that is Kotlin list. So if we search Kotlin list, we got the Kotlin documentation here, and we can see all sorts of different possibilities that is available in Kotlin list. So we can use the size property of it. Let's say we want to calculate the size of the list. We can say println and names dot size. And if you do that, it basically gives us the size of the list. So as you can see, we got the 5 in the console. Okay, so we can see we got the contains, it will return boolean, and so it will basically include all the things that is available in list, and you do not have to remember this all. You can just check this documentation any number of time and write your code. So let's head back to our code and let's see how we can iterate through our list. So I will comment this out. Also, I will comment this out. Or so to iterate through the list, we have when and sorry, we have while in Kotlin, and we can also use for in loop. So let's first tackle the while loop. So uh, the syntax of while loop is that we have to write while keyword. And after in the parentheses, we have to pass the expression, and that is evaluated. And if the expression is true, this while loop continues. And if the expression false in some point of time, then we get out of the while loop. So we have to create the expression first. So let me use a counter variable that is index. So let me assign it to 0. So we start from 0, the index 0, and we can say that continue the while loop if the index is less than names dot size. So name dot size basically gives the size of the list, and we want to continue to the list when the index is less than 0. Now we can open the curly braces and we can say print names at current index. Now, as you can see, if we do not change our counter variable, this index is first assigned to 0. And now I have said that index that is 0 is less than names.size. And this point of time, the names is 5. That is names.size is equal to 5. This 0 will be always less than 5. So this while loop will terminate into infinite loop and it continues forever because 0 is not gonna um, um, greater than 5. And so we have to change that counter variable and we can say that we can index plus plus. But this means that every time this loop run, we will increase the index by 1. So this is shortened syntax. We can also use index plus is equal to 1. You can also say index is equal to index plus 1. So this all are possibilities that we can do. I will simply go with index plus plus. So what will it do? It will basically assign at index to 0. Then after it runs, then the next time the index become 1. And some point of time, the index will be greater than this names dot size, and then we came out of this loop. So let's run this and see how it looks. Okay, sorry, at first we have do not create we do not assign it to var. We should assign it to var because we have to change it. So we can say okay, we got all the names printed in the console. Okay, so this is done. Then let's say what we have to do. Let's say we want to do something with our items in the list. So we can say um, use the string interpolation. Let's say is et, and if we run this, you can see we can do anything we want with our the items in the list. So this is the way of iterating through a list by using while loop. We can also iterate through our list using for loop. So let's see how it looks. So at first we have to write the for keyword. Then after I have to use a variable. So we can say name, a single name. Then after I have to use the in keyword and I can use my list. So this is not Python. So we have to the parentheses. Okay. So as you can see, this is the syntax of our. Let me comment this out. So as you can see, this is the syntax of our for in loop. This name is a variable, and this names is the list of variables, the list of names. So do not get confused about this name and this names. So now it's a very easy. We can simply use println and print our names, and it's basically the easy way of iterating through a lips in. Sorry. Okay. Sorry. So it's a easy way of iterating through a list. So it's an easy way of iterating through a list, and we can it's a shortened syntax, and we can also use that. So this is a bit about how we can use while loop as well as for in loop, and we have seen what is how we can create a list. That is, we can create a read-only list by using list of, and we can also create a mutable list by using this syntax. So this is it about iterables as well as a collection, that is list, and all these programming concepts that we have seen today we are going to use in our app. So let's proceed further and let's start creating our first app, that is tip calculator app. So we do not need Kotlin playground more, so I will remove this. Also I will remove this now. So I'm going to create our tip calculator app. So for this I will just open my Android Studio. So it's a tool. If you do not have downloaded, please download it. I have describe how we can download Android Studio in my previous sessions, so you can check out there. So if you open the Android Studio for the first time, so it will look something like this. Okay, so this is the first page that appears when you open the Android Studio. You have to create a new project, so click on this create new project. Then after, go with the empty activity. As we have all the different sorts of activities, I have described it in our previous session. We are going with just going with the empty activity. So go with empty activity, click next. Then after, select the project name. You can select the project name, such as the first name is the tip calculator. Okay, we can um, leave the default, that is the package name default, and it's com calculator. If you have any domains, you can also use that in this instead of this example. Then select your desired location. We are going with Kotlin, so use Kotlin as a programming language. Then I am selecting 19 as my API, that is the Android version. And this is go with the default. Simply change the name and click on this finish button. Okay, so this is the screen, or we can say the page of Android Studio. Here we have the project pane. Here we got the few buttons for our running as well as debugging. Then after, this is the logcat portion. So let wait for till then it is scanning our files to index. Okay, so we got our main activity.kt file as well as activity main.xml file, and the Gradle build is running. So let's wait for 2 more seconds. Till it is running, I have told you that how we can how we can create a virtual devices in Android Studio. So if you do not know about it, you have simply go to this tools menu, and sorry, go to this where is the AVD manager? Okay, don't worry. So go to this little icon here, that is the AVD manager. Until when the Gradle build is finished, we also get the option to create virtual devices from this tools menu. So click on this AVD manager, and pop-ups come where you want to create a new virtual device. So click on this create new virtual device button. Select any of the device you want to create, then click on this next. Then after, you have to create the select the Android version, select them, then click on next. And then after, we get the option to change the name if you want, and click on this finish. So this will create a new virtual device in your system, and this can be used as a testing device. So as you can see, we got our new virtual device. I'm not going to use any virtual device here, so I will close this window. And now I will use my real device. So I have connected my real device through the USB debugging or the USB cable. So let's start building our project. As we can see, we got our project configuration done. So this is the folders that is sites in the Android folder. So we got the manifest folder, we got the Java folder, we got the resources folder, and at last we have the Gradle scripts. I have talked about it in our previous session. So let's start building our layout for the app, and for this I'm going to use XML here. So activity main.xml. So I will close this. Now you can use this XML file, or you can use this design view for creating your apps. We have talked about this design view in our earlier session. So today we're going to use XML. XML stands for extensible markup language. So we write code in this as like in HTML, and with the opening tag as in the closing tag. So let me read this text view, and add different things here. So let's say I will toggle the split, so we can also use the code part as well as we can see the design part. And let me increase that. Okay, so we got our design as well as code here by using the split menu. Okay, so the first thing that we are gonna use, let's first see the uh, design, or we can say the UI of our app that we're gonna create. So it looks something like this. So this is the UI of our app. At first we have the edit text that is used for adding the text in our app. Then after the second one is the text view, um, that simply says how was the service. Then after we got the three radio buttons, and this button will toggle which amount of, or what is the percentage of tip that we want to give to the waiter, or we can say staff. Or at last we have the roundup tip, and if the user want to round the tip, they can also toggle this button to round the tip. As well as we got the calculate button, and at last this tip amount will be replaced with the tip result, the amount that the user want to give to the staff. So let's start creating that. At first we will need an edit text. So um, edit text. So to add elements, everything that is in the screen, we will call it, in Android we call it views. So to add elements, we can simply use this, and we can say edit text. So the element that we want to add. Then it will ask for what is the height and width of this this view. So for the width, I will go with 160 dp, and dp is um, measuring unit in Android. And for the height, I will use wrap content. Wrap content basically means as small as the size of this text. Okay, now I will add id to this view. So we can say id, and id gonna be let's say cost of service. Okay, now we also have to add constant, so that what is the position of this view in our app or the screen. So we can say if we want to add the top constants, we can say top, and we can choose the constraint top to top of, and we are going to add the constraint the top of parent. Parent basically means the edge of the screen. And then I want to add the start constant, so we can say a start, and to start of parent. Okay, so this is all about constraint. Then I want to add a hint text here, so that user get the hint that what is this edit text is used for. So we can say cost of service. Okay, so cost of service. This is done about edit text. Also, let's proceed further and add a text view here. So we can add text view as like this. We can set the width to wrap content as well as height to wrap content. We'll close this. Now I will add ID to it, edit text, that is text view. So we can say ID. ID gonna be ID um, service question. Let's say, and add the constant to it. So we can say the top constant should be the bottom of. So we are aligning this text view below this edit text. So we can say the top constant should be the bottom of that edit text. So we can say top, and it should be the bottom of edit text. So we have to give the ID here. So ID is the cost of service. Okay, now we can add the start constant to it. So we can say start, and then start of parent. Okay, so we got our text view. Now let's add the text part of it. So we can tap into the text attribute of this text view. So we can say text is equal to um, how is the service. Okay, so we have our two views. Let's see how it looks in our app. So we can run this app by clicking on this play button. So it takes generally time when you are building your project for the first time. So you have to wait for that. Hello, sir. Hello.
Yes, Ishu.
Is everything going fine?
Yes, sir. Everything. Yes, Ishu. Everything going okay.
Thank you. Okay. So we got our app. As you can see, we got the cost of service, and here user can enter the number or the cost, what is the cost of service, and then there is a question that is how is the cost of service. Now I will assign some margin to my layout, so we can say margin, and I will add the margin to the constraint layout, so we can say margin it is equal to 16 dp. Okay, so that it can align that to having some space. Okay, so one thing we can also add the type that the user want to enter in this edit text. So we can say input type, and input type is going to be number decimal, so they can use the decimal value if they want. Okay, so the next thing that we are going to add is the radio group, and radio group is just a group that allow us to use radio buttons, and we and also gives the id of that selected radio buttons. So let's see how it works. So we have to width should be wrap content as well as height should be wrap content. Let me close this. Okay, also should have id, so we can say id is equal to id uh, tip options. And the next thing is that we have to add the constant. So we can say top constant should be the bottom of that text view. So we can say the bottom of ID service question. And it should start constant should be the start of parent. So start of parent. Okay. So we got our radio group, and in that radio group, we will add our radio buttons. So we can say radio button, select it from the pop-up that appears. Then we can say layout width should be wrap content and the height should be wrap content, and we can close that. And we can also have the id, so we can say id is going to be id option 20%. So option 20%, and then we can also have the text attribute in that. So we can say text is equal to amazing, 20%. Okay, now we can add our next radio button. So we can say radio button wrap content, height and width is wrap content, close that. And its id will be id option 18%, 18%, and I will set the text part of it is um, good, 18%. Okay, so in similar manner we can also create the radio button for 15%. So and the option is going to be 15%, and it is 15, and I will say okay. Okay, so this is the part of that radio button, and if we want to see this, I will run this app. So after that radio buttons, we have to add our roundup tip switch as well as the calculate button and the tip amount text view. So this is done. As you can see, we got our radio buttons and we can select our items. So if we want to give the tip 20%, we can select amazing 20%. And if you want to give the tip 15%, we can select 20%, and that is 15%. Okay. So this is about adding radio buttons. It should be added in the radio group as like this. Now after that radio group, I will add um, switch here. So the width of the switch should be 0 dp, so it should be very small. Then height should be wrap content. I will close this and I have assigned the ID to it. So ID should be ID. As you can see, all the IDs have the prefix at the rate plus ID. This is a recommendation by Android Studio, so they can assign the IDs to it. So you have to simply assign that, and then after I will say this is roundup switch, and the text part of it is roundup. Okay, so I will now add constant to it. So the top constant should be the bottom of that radio button, that is radio group. So we can say ID, and the option ID of that radio group is tip options. Okay, so we got the there. Now the start constant should be start of parent, and now I want to align this switch somewhere here, so I have to also add the end constant here, and the end constant should be end of parent. Okay, so we got our switch and somewhere here. So this is about switch. Then after that switch, I want to add button. So we can say button, and the width should be match parent, and the height should be, let's say, a wrap content. It will also have ID. So ID is going to be calculate button. That should be calculate button. Then after we have to add constants. The top constant should be bottom of that switch. So we can say ID roundup switch, and the start constant should be the start of parent. So we got our button here, and now we want to add the text attribute of this button. So you can say text, and we can say calculate. Okay, so we got our button there. Now it's time to add the last thing, that is a text view that will show the result of our calculation. So we can say text view, and the width should be wrap content as well as the height should be wrap content. I will close this. We have an ID, and let's say ID result text. Okay, add the constant to it. So we can say the top constant should be the bottom of that button. So we can say ID calculate button, and then it should end. So we want this text view somewhere here. So I will simply add the in constant, and it is assigned to the end of parent. Okay, so we got our text view constant end of the parent, and then add the text, and we can say tip amount. Okay, so this completes our entire UI. If we want to see, we can run our app. So let me till it is running, let me give you a quick overview about our layout. So the first one is the edit text, that is here. Then after we got the text view, so that is how was the text. Then after we got the radio group that consists of 3 radio buttons, and all have different IDs and different text. Then after we got the switch for rounding the tip if you want, and we got the button to calculate the tip, and then after we got the text view so that we can show the result to our user. Now this is all about the UI, and we can give the cost of service, let's say 500, anything you want. We can select amazing or good or okay. We can also round the tip, and we can also click on this calculate button, but nothing happens. We have to add the logic for this code or this app. So head back to the main activity.kt. So I have told you earlier that if we want to add layouts, we generally add it in our main XML file, and if we want to add logic, we add it in our Kotlin file, that is main activity.kt file. So we first have to get the reference or of that edit text, so or the button. So we get the first reference of that button. So we can say find view by ID, and the generic is button. You can say r.id dot calculate button. We can set the on click listener on it. We can say set on click listener. So this triggers the button, and it calls the set on click listener on this button. Now I will create a private function, calculate tip, and I will assign this calculate tip function here. Okay. So after that, I will say that I will get the reference of that edit text. So we can say find view by ID, and then is edit text. You can say r.id dot cost of service. Then we can tap in the text attribute of that, so we can get the text part of it. Then we can convert it into a string, so we can say to string on it. Okay, so we got the string in that text field, so we can assign it to a variable. So we can say val find sorry we can say val is equal to string in edit text is equal to this. So the value that a user enter in that edit text get assigned to this variable, that is string in edit text. And now we cannot do calculation on that string, so we have to convert that string into double. So we can say val cost is equal to string in edit text dot to double. So this will convert that string into double. So we got the cost of the service. Now we have to somehow get the user what the user have selected in one of these buttons. So what they either they have selected good or they have selected amazing and okay. So for this we have to first get the reference to our radio group. So we can say find view by ID, and we can say radio group. We can say r.id dot tip options, and there's a method in the group. We can say checked um, radio button ID. So this will give the ID of that checked button. So if the user selected this button, it gives the ID of that button and all that. So we can say that we can assign it into a variable. So we can say val selected ID. Okay, so this value, we assign that value into this selected ID variable, and we can say if the user selected, so we can call the when statement. We have talked about when statement in our previous session, so we can call it when statement, and then pass the selected ID. And now, if the selected ID is a 20%, we will return. So if the selected ID is r.id dot 20%, option 20%. So you have to remember all the IDs that you have assigned to this views. So I have assigned my this button the ID of 20%. So you have to remember all the IDs so that you can use in our code. So if the user have selected 18%, then I will return sorry, if the user have selected 20%, so the first one is a 20%. Okay, So if the user selected the 20%, then we will return 20%. So how we can return 20%? That is this. So 20% in decimal is 0.20. If you do calculations, then 20% in decimal will be 0.20. Then if the user selected 18%, then we will return 0.18. And this is the return syntax in when statements. So an else part is that if the user selected 15%, we will simply return uh, 0.15. Okay, now we can assign this to a variable, so we can say val percentage. So it will calculate that if the user has selected 20% option, then it will return 0.20 and then assign that into tip percentage and all. If a user selected 18%, it will calculate that and then assign 0.18 to that tip percentage. So here we got the cost as well as tip percentage. Now I will calculate the tip. We can say var tip is equal to cost into tip percentage. Now, I have used var here because this value will change. If the user will select that they want to round up the tip, then we can change that tip to rounded value. So here we have calculated the tip. Now, let's get the reference to that switch, that is roundup switch. We can say switch r.id.roundup switch. Now, this roundup switch has a method that is checked or not. So is checked, it will return boolean. So if the if the button is on, so as you can see, if the button is on, it will return true, and if the button will off, it will return false. So according to that, if the user has selected that they want to round the tip, we will assign it into a variable. So we can say val roundup. So we will assign into a variable, and we can say if user have selected to round up, then will round the tip. So we can say tip is equal to seal. Now seal is a method that is available in Kotlin Maths library. So we have to import that. So if you click on this, uh, you have to click Alt Enter to import the library. So I have imported the Kotlin Maths library. If you can see, this is a Kotlin Maths library, and this seal function is available in that Kotlin Maths library, and it basically round our decimal values. So if the user selected that they want to round up, this value is true, and we have assigned it here. So if it is true, then round the tip, and after that, it's time to assign the result text that what is the tip. So we can say find view by id, and it is of type text view r.id dot result text, the id of that text. Then we can say dot text is equal to tip, and we can convert our tip back to string. So this is all the core logic of calculating the tip as well as assigning the value to it. So at first we have get the reference of that edit text, and we have get the string in that edit text. Then we have converted that string into double because we cannot do calculation with a string. So we have to convert into some double. And after that, I will get the ID of that selected button by using a radio group is a checked button method there. Then after I'm calculating the tip percentage. So if the user selected 20%, it will return 0.20 and all that. So this value is used to calculate the tip. So we are assigning a tip. So we have created a new variable that is called tip, and we can say cost into tip percentage to calculate the tip. And at last, for the switch, we have seen we have checked that if the user have checked that, then it is true, and if it is true, then tip is equal to seal tip. So now, and at last we have assigned that tip to the result text. Okay, let's run this app and let's see how it works. Okay, so we got our app up and running, and let me assign some cost of service. Let's say I want to use 599. This is the cost of service, and I am choosing amazing as a tip percentage, and let's calculate the tip. As you can see, we got the calculated tip here. Now let's say if the user want to round the tip, and they toggle this on, and we will click on this calculate button, and we can see we got the rounded tip. So let's choose another option. Let's go for the good, and if you click on this calculate button, it will give the tip amount. And let's say they do not want to round the tip, so it will switch off, and then this value is the tip. So this is the completed code of this tip calculator app, and here we have learned how we can use XML. So main core logic or main takeaway from this app is that how to add layout using this XML, and how to assign that values to that in code. So this is enough about tip calculator, and let me close this and start building our affirmation app. So I will close this. Okay, now this is our affirmation app, and this app will include image as well as a text inside that below that image, and it will include 10 affirmation that we are going to show in our app. So the first thing is that let's create this new project. We can say empty activity. Next, it's affirmation. Let's name our app affirmation, and go with the default settings. Click finish. Okay, so till then it is running or doing the setup process. Let's see how our affirmation app will work. So here we are going to use a recycler view. So if you do not know about recycler view, it's a very common UI pattern in Android, and it basically have different things that connects together to different things in our app. So let's say we have an app that scroll through the screen. So we have social media apps, as we can say. We have call history app that scroll all the way to up. It has different contents to display. So let's say if we have images, we have names, as we have numbers and all that. So we have different things that we can show on our screen, and that do not comprise on the first screen. So we should have the scrolling effect. So this is what recycler view comes in, and they have the scrolling effect. So the recycler view has item, and item is that one data item. Basically it is the one data item that is used to display one affirmation object. So we will create affirmation class in our app, and each item will represent one affirmation object. Then after we have the adapter class, and adapter class basically prepares data for the recycle view. Then we have view holders, and it basically calculates or manages if the user scrolls something out of the screen, then it take the use of that, and if the user take back to our screen, then it basically use for scrolling, in simple words. Now it all comes together, then we create the recycler view. So let's back to our code, and let's see how we can create our recycler view, or how we can have the affirmation app. Okay, the first thing we have to add is we are going to add our code, the layout of our recycler view in the main activity.xml file. So let's delete this text view, and now here we are not going to use constraint layout. Here we are going to use frame layout. So constraint layout is basically used if we have different children on the screen. So let's say we want to add text view, we want to add image view and all that. So for this we have to use constraint view, constraint layout. Here we are going to use frame layout, and frame layout basically have a single child, and the child is going to be so let's go to design view, and let's search for the recycler view. Okay, so here's the recycler view. You have to simply click on it and drag and drop to your view. So we got our recycler view. Let's head back to the code. As you can see, this frame layout has only one children, and the children is going to be recycler view. So this is the code of recycler view. I will add something to it. So I will assign the ID to our recycler view. So we can say ID is going to be ID recycler view. Then I can assign the orientation to it. So we can say orientation should be vertical, and the layout manager should be linear layout manager. So I have added this. So orientation should be vertical. So you want the vertical orientation of recycler view, and then the layout manager should be layout manager, linear layout manager. Okay, so now we will create different packages for different things. So let's say we want to add data. So for data, we will create different packages, and different packages will include different types of code that is used for in this affirmation app. So to create a package, it's very simple. Click on this Java first package. So as you can see, Java folder has three packages. First one is this, second one is this, and third one is this. So that, and this one is the main package, and this second other two are the test packages. So we are not going to use that. So click on this first package, and let's create a first package. Now how to create a package? It's very simple. You have to right click on that and select new, and then we have an option that is package. Click on that. Okay, new, then we have a package. Click on that. Then after, you have to add the package name. So the first package that we are going to use is the model package. This class, the model package class, will include all the models, that what is the model of the object in our app. So let me create a new model class, that is a new Kotlin file class. So create a new class is very simple. Right click on it and go to the new, and go for the new class file. Sorry, new class or file, and we can name our class as data. Sorry, we can name it affirmation. Okay, so we got our affirmation class. This affirmation class will have um, properties. So at first, let me assign this affirmation class, make this affirmation class a data class. So we can say data, and this affirmation class is now a data class. Now what this data will do, this basically enforces you to add a property to this affirmation class. So I will add a property that is, let's say, val string resource ID, and it is of type int. Okay, so this is the data class, and this is the model class, and this class has this class will be used to create instances of this affirmation. Now I will add something to our resources folder. So click open the resources folder and go to this open the values folder, and after that go to the string.xml file. Here we will add all our affirmation that we are going to use in our app. So simply go use this and string name affirmation one. Close this. You can say I am strong. Okay, so this is the way of adding affirmation, and that is string in our app, and these affirmation are going to use in our app. So I will not write in this way. I have written all this, so I will simply copy this all and paste it here. Okay, so these are all the affirmations that we are going to use in app. So we have 10 affirmation, as you can see, and this is it about adding affirmation as a string. Now let's head back to the affirmation.kt file, and what we are saying that whenever you instantiate this affirmation, provide this string resource ID, and this string resource ID will come from here. So that we have added the string here, so we will get the all the instances of that string. Okay, so head back to the package name, and here now we will create a new package, and we'll call it data source. So we can call it data, and in this data package I will create a data source class. This data source class will provide all the data that we are going to use in our app. So we can say data new file, that is new Kotlin class, and we can say call it data source. Okay, so this data source class will provide all data and that we are going to use in our app. So we can say this data source class will have a function. We can say function load data, or we can say load affirmations. Now this function will return list of affirmations. That is list of affirmation object. So we can say list of affirmation. Now add the return keyword, and we will create that read-only list. So read-only list can be created by using list of, as I told you earlier, and this list of is the list of affirmations. Okay, now I will return the first instance of that affirmation class. I will say affirmation, and I have to pass the string resource ID. As you can see, we got r dot string dot affirmation one. And after I have to instantiate our affirmation class again and pass the second string resource ID. So I will simply copy this and paste it few more times. So the second is done. We got 3 here, got 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, and plus 10. So as you can see, this data source class has a function, and it is returning a list of affirmation, and this is basically the list of affirmation instances. Okay, so let's head back to our file, and now I will create a new Kotlin package again, and I will name it adapter. Okay, now in this adapter class I will make a new class, Kotlin class, and I will name it item adapter. Naming conventions, you can use anything you want. I'm just following the official naming conventions. Now let's see how we can create our item adapter class, and this class basically toggles, or this class basically triggers the recycler view. So let's see how we can create our recycler view. So let's go to the browser and let's see the recycler view in Android. So search for anything that how to use recycler view in Android, and there comes the website or the developers.android.com. So it will tell us that how we can create a recycler view. So I do recommend to check out this whole documentation. So as you can see, recycler view makes it easier to efficiently display a large set of data, and we can also scroll it. Okay, let's go below here. Now we have a class here, and it basically describes us that how we can create our item adapter class. So let's start creating it. Now the first thing that we need is that each item in that item adapter class or the recycle view will have its own layout. So we have to add that layout in our app. So how we can do that? Go to this layout section and right click on this layout, and then click on this layout resource file, and we can say item list. Okay, so it gives the constraint layer. We do not need constraint layer, so I will delete this. I will simply need one item of that layout, so we'll simply add a text view. Okay, I will change the width to be wrap content and height to be wrap content. So this text view is a layout of that one single item in that recycle view. Let's assign ID to it. So we can say ID is ID. Um, Item title, we can say item title. Okay, fine. So let's head back to the item adapter and let's see how we can create that. Now, the first thing is that we should have the list of data first. So how we can do that? We can say private val data set type list of information. It's a list, and then we can say it's a list of information. Okay. Now the next thing, we also need the context of this app because we have just separated our logic in next in another package. We are not in our main activity.kt file, so we also have to pass the context. So in the constructor argument, so we can say private val context of type context. Okay. So we got our item adapter class. Let's see what is they are telling. They told us that next we have to create. So they are saying that we have to create this item adapter class, that is adapter class, and it will extend recycle view dot adapter. And then after we have to pass that custom adapter class and then triggers the view holder class. So we also have to create this view holder class, and that has a view in its constructor. That view will be passed to this recycle view dot view holder. So let's start creating it. So I will create another class in this item adapter class, and this type of writing code is called nesting a class. So we can say item adapter, sorry, item view holder class, and this class will have view of type view. Now it extends from a recycler view dot view holder class. And after we have to pass that view, it's like this. Okay. So this is about item view holder. Also, we have to create the instance of that text view. So we can say val text view, layout of that text view. So we can say val text view of type text view is equal to find, sorry, view dot find view by id, r dot id should be item text, or sorry, item title. This is the id of that this is the id of that one layout file, that is item title. So I am using it. Now I will simply use, I will say dot, sorry. So this class extends recycle view dot view holder, and my item adapter class will extend from recycler view dot view holder class, sorry, adapter class. So this item adapter class will extends from recycler view dot adapter, and this item view holder class will extends from recycler view dot view holder. And in generics, we have to provide the item adapter dot item view holder now, and then instantiate this class. Okay, we got our two class, that is item adapter as well as item view holder. The next thing that we can do, we can see we got the errors here, the red squiggly lines, and it says we have to implement members. So as you can see, this item adapter class has three different types of methods. We can see we have on create view holder, then we have on bind view holder, and we have get item counts. All the different methods have different properties. So we can see this on create a view holders creates new views, then on bind view holder invoke the layout manager. It basically manages the scrolling effect, and it manages that which position our item is in. Then after get item count will give us that what is the size of our data, so the size of our list of data. So let's create our all three methods. So we can go to this, click on this red button, red icons, and click on this implement members. Then there's a pop-up come that we have to select this all. So you can simply shift select this all, click OK. Okay, so we got our three different methods and the red explicitly line scores. Now, mm, we have to add code to it. So let's see what they are told us to write. So the first thing that we have to create the view, and it's a layout inflated dot from. Then after we have to pass the context in that. Then after we have to call the inflate method and then pass the layout that we have created. Then after we have to pass the view group that is here, and then we have to assign the root to false. So let's start creating it. Let's delete this code. We can say val view is equal to layout inflator dot from. Then after we have to pass the context. The context is coming from parent. We can say parent dot context dot inflate. In inflate we have to pass the layout that we have created. So we can say r dot layout dot item list. So item list is the layout that we have created. Then after we have to pass the parent. After we can assign this to false. So we have assigned attached to root to false. Then after this method will return something, and the return is item view holder. Item view holder, and then I can pass the view here. Okay, so we get complete our on create view holder. Then after I have to toggle this on bind view holder. So at first we have to get the position of that current item. So we can say var item equal to data sheet at current index, and index is provided here by this position here. So as you can see, this position isn't, so this index will be provided by this position argument. And then I can say that holder dot text view dot text is equal to resources, sorry, uh, context. So the current context dot resources dot get a string. Then after I have to pass the ID of that string. So we can say item dot string resource ID. Now what this does is basically get a string. What it does basically, it gives the string resource ID, and from that string resource ID it will calculate, or it collects all the string that from that string resource ID. So we have passed the string resource ID, and this get a string method will get the string from that ID. Okay, so this is done for the on bind view holder, and the simplest one is get item count. It will return simply the length of our data. So we can say data set dot size. Okay, so this is it about adding the item adapter class, and this is the class that is for the recycler view. As you can see, we have created this item adapter, and that extends from item adapter recycler view dot adapter, and this item view holder extends from recycler view dot view holder. Okay, so enough talking. Now let's head back to our main activity dot kt file and assign all this to in our main activity. So we can say we have to first instantiate our data source class. So we can say val data is equal to data source dot load information. After that, I will call my recycler view as val recycler view type recycler view is equal to find view by id r dot id is going to be recycler view. So this is the id of my recycler view, as you have seen. And then in my recycler view I will call adapter, and this is equal to item adapter. So it's time to instantiate our item adapter class. So we can say item adapter. An item adapter wants context as well as, so let's go to the item adapter. Item adapter wants the context as well as the list of informations. So we can say the context should be this, that is this app, and the list of affirmation should be our data. So this is about adding our recycler view to our app. If you run our app now, let's see how it looks. So let's wait for Gradle build running. Okay, finally it is installing. So as you can see, we got all our affirmation in this cluttered in this um, all the things that are cluttered. So we can go to the item list and XML file, and then we can add the padding to it. So we can say padding, and we can say padding is 16 dp. Let's see how it looks. Okay, so we got our list of affirmation. It is not scrolling because it just fitted into the screen. Now our completed app looks something like this. So our we have the image, as well we have the affirmation below that. So it's time to add images to our app. So I have described you how we can add images. So go to this layout resource manager, click on this little plus icon, then import drawables. Then after, you have to import drawables, and I have downloaded it my images. So I have images here. I will select this all, click open, click next, click import. Okay, so we got all the images that we want to show in our app. Now it's time to add something to our item list.xml file. This file is responsible for adding the one list item in our recycler view. So here I will add now the material card app, the material card. So I will simply copy that, and I will simply replace the text view to material card. Okay, so a material card provides just a hinge like that, and it's just like a card that we generally use. So I will just put it here below that. Now its width should be match parent, and should not have padding, should also not have ID. After that, I will add linear layout. So what is this linear layout? So this linear layout will be used so that we can place our image up and then text below that. So um, let's assign the orientation to it. We can say orientation should be vertical, and the scroll bars should be verticals also. Okay, so let me assign our text view here, and above our text view we'll assign our image view. So we can say image view, and the layout width should be match parent, and the height should be, let's say, 200 dp. Then it should also have ID. We can say ID is gonna be ID item image. Then it should have let's say it should have scroll sorry um, scale scale type, and the scale type should be center crop so that the image is center cropped. So we got our image view here, and so it is done for our item. So this is just the layout of our one item in that edit in our recycle view. So at first we have added the material card view, then after we have added linear layout, and linear layout is used to add one element after that, after next. So this is the image view, and this is the text view. So it's time to add this layout to our item adapter class. So in our item adapter class, I can say that where I instantiate our text view, I can say val image view of type image view is equal to view dot find view by id, or that id is going to be item image. Okay, so we have got our image view here. Now it's time to assign the value to it. So we can say holder dot image view dot set image resource. So in image view we have a function that is set image resource, and here in the arguments we can pass our image resource. So we can say item dot sorry, I have to get the image resource ID as well. So I have to change our affirmation class as well. So affirmation class is only displaying have the data model of that string. Let's add the data model of our image also. So we can say val image resource ID, and it is also type of type int. Also we have to change our data source class something, and we have to pass our all the images that we want to use in our app. So we can say r dot drawable dot image 1. In similar manner we have to give r dot drawable dot image 2. So I will just copy this, paste it here, and change the values. Okay, so we got all the images here. Now we can tap into that. So in the item adapter, we can say item dot image resource ID. Done. Let's play our file. Okay, something wrong happened. Let's item. Okay. Width should be match parent, and height should be wrap content. Um, Width should be match parent, and okay, the height should be 200 dp. Let's say. Play it again. So I have changed just the height. Height should not be wrap content. I want the height to be 200 dp. So okay. So it's not 20, it's 200. Okay, so at last we got our app, and it looks something like this. So we have the images as well as our information below that. So let me give you a quick overview or how we have created this app. At first, we have changed something in our activity main.xml file. Instead of constraint layout, I have used frame layout. And after I have imported recycler view in our app and added ID Also, we have added orientation to be vertical, and the layout should be layout manager, linear layout manager, and assign the width to be match parent, so it should be as big as the screen size. Then after, height should be also the match parent. Then after, I have created data model class of our app. So data model is affirmation class, and it has a string resource ID as well as image resource ID, and every item in our recycler view is just an instance of that affirmation class. Okay. Next, after that, we have created this data source class, and this data source class will provide all the data that we want to use in our app, and it's just a basically function that return the list of affirmation objects. Then after, the most important file in our project is this item adapter .kt file, and if you are doing this for the first time, I think uh, you have to learn more about recycler view through this documentation and all that, so it will give you all the overview about that. So this item editor class, then after we have created this item list.xml file, and this basically is the layout of that one item in that list. For this we have used material card, and material card is just a card that get displayed on the screen. Then after, we have used a linear layout so that we can place our image view as well as text view below that. And at last, we have simply connected this all in a, just we have created the instance of the data source class. Then after, we have called the recycler view, where we get the reference to that, and then we have called simply adapter method on that and pass the item adapter. And in item adapter, we have to use context as well as data. So this is it about this two app, that is tip calculator and as well as affirmation app. And if you want to see the source code of this app will be available on GitHub. So go to this GitHub, and we can simply search GitHub slash search for my username, that is I am Rishu Roy. Okay, GitHub. Let's search for GitHub. So this is my profile, GitHub slash I am Rishu Roy, and in my repository you can simply search for. I have just deployed this two app yesterday, so we can see we have affirmation app and we have tip calculator app. So you can also check this source code from there. You have to simply click on any of this app, then click on this code button, and then you can copy this link and clone this repository in your system. Also, you can download this zip, and you can open this downloaded file in your Android Android Studio. So this is about creating this two app, and at last, um, I will give you what are the um, learning resources that we can use to continue learning Android. So you can check out the official developers website, as well as you can use this Kotlin language reference. I recommend that because learning any new language should not be shouldn't is easy. So you have to go to the documentation and learn everything. Then after, you can also follow the Android developers blog, and they have their own blog page, as well as you can also check the blog of Android on the Medium. And then after, you can also check out the YouTube channel of that Android developers. So take the screenshot of this page and use this link whenever you want. So over to you, sir.
Thank you, Rishu. That was a wonderful session, and the viewers, those currently watch the video, you are watching after it is being recorded. I hope you all understand the applications that we made well. And if you have any questions, you can mail us on our official email ID or on our Telegram channels, or you can also connect with us on our Android app. You can connect with us on Telegram channels for Android and the main channel. You can connect with us on LinkedIn, on Instagram, or if you haven't, you can subscribe our YouTube channel. And lastly, we have our official DSC OIST app where you will find various resources for other other things like creative programming, Android development, and web development. You can contact us or you can ask your doubts there. You can connect with our team, or you will even get notifications whenever we live stream any next time. I will paste the link in the comment section so you can download the app on your Android devices.
So thank you everyone for joining in.
Okay, thank you everyone. Hope you like the session.